Doug Lawrence, and I'm located in Regina, Saskatchewan, Canada. And I have my own company called Talent C People Services Incorporated, or Talent C for short. And what what my company does is it's purely mentoring. So mentor certification and the actual mentoring of individuals at various levels in the organization or from a business context. So the best way for me to answer the question, what is mentoring, is to sort of give the definition that we use quite often, and that is mentoring is a two-way trusted relationship where both the mentor and the mentee are going to learn and grow together on a personal and professional basis. And I think what's important that we need to stress is the aspect of the personal growth side of mentoring, how important that is. A lot of corporate mentorship programs only focus on the career development or the professional development, and they don't take into consideration the personal growth aspect. And so by that, I mean um, self-esteem, self-confidence, self-worth, self-doubt, all of those things that we sometimes and actually quite often overlook, and they're really, really important to be able to address those at the beginning of the mentoring relationship, because if they are not, then they will actually become a obstacle or barrier to being able to move forward to deal with the career development, professional growth part of the relationship. It's mentoring actually has a place everywhere if people take the time to sort of take the step back and take a look at it. But how it actually factors into buying and selling a business. So the mentor can act as that guide for individuals that whether they're buying or selling a business, they are sort of that individual who is a great listener, listens and hears what some of the things that say the owner of the business is dealing with, and the decision points that they're going through in order to decide, do I sell, or or if it's a family owned business, do I look at it from a succession planning perspective and succession plan one of my children to take over the business. A mentor can be there to sort of ask the questions. And that's probably one of the things we need to think about. One of the strong factors of mentoring in buying and selling a business is the mentor is not going to tell you what to do, but they're going to ask you a series of questions to help guide you through the decision-making process. And in doing so, at the end of the day, you're going to be in a better place as far as the decision-making process is concerned. And conversely, if you're actually buying a business, it's much the same thought process around that, is that your mentor is actually going to ask you a series of questions to help guide you through that process. And at the end of the day, ultimately you're accountable for that decision making process, and the mentor is there as your guide. One of the comments I always, or one of my anecdotes I always share, is that I'll never leave you standing on the island by yourself. And that's the benefit of a great mentor, is they're going to go through all the challenges, all the turmoil that you're going to obviously experience. They're going to go through it standing beside you and making sure that everything is working well for you. I'll use a sort of a real-time example to answer that. Is right now, like, I have a contract to do leadership mentoring with a educational organization, and we've been doing this now. We've had this arrangement now for probably, geez, I think it's 5 or 6 years, where I'm working with the leadership team. Where I see the value for a lot of organizations, the small to medium-sized organizations, is that they get the benefit of that mentor as that someone that's going to listen and hear what some of the challenges are that they're dealing with. And it's somebody that's going to ask questions that are going to promote the critical thinking skills that are sometimes missing in a lot of different situations, but they're going to be able to help you navigate through that process. And that's why it's so important for the small medium businesses to reach out and secure that mentor, to work with them as they go through that process. But just as importantly, once they're kind of landing on their feet in the organization that they've acquired is moving forward, actually having a mentor that you can sort of say, you know, I made this decision. Is that the right or the wrong decision? And the mentor is going to come back and not tell you that was a wrong decision. They're going to ask you some questions, and you're going to go through and problem solve that, so that at the end of the day, you're comfortable with the decision that you did in fact make, and you're able to move forward with your organization. So this is a very interesting question, in that I have been doing extensive research on excuse me, mentoring and mental health, and how mentoring can actually be part of the support structure for mental health. And so when you look at that, that's really an important segment into how is that going to help if I'm a business owner. And so I usually look at myself in the mirror, and I think of all the different things that I've had to deal with that added additional stress and anxiety, excuse me, to just owning a business. And have I had a mentor who had some experience, obviously dealing with mental health and the mental health, post-traumatic mental well-being, I guess, and post-traumatic stress and operational stress injuries. If I would have had somebody that would be able to fulfill that need, it wouldn't have made those things go away, but what it would have done for me is it would have given me that person that I can reach out to and sort of say, this is how I'm feeling, this is what I'm thinking, and be able to deal with it that way, and be able to move forward. So I've done extensive research, and I've actually been able to find, I think there was a university in the UK, and there was an organization, I believe in Ontario, that actually created a role for mentoring in the mental health space. So in the university case in the UK, they've got what they call a mental health mentor, and that individual works with students who are experiencing anxiety, stress, um, their mental well-being is at risk. And so that person kind of helps them work their way through that, and is able to hopefully be able to help them get back on track and manage or cope better. So giving them the coping skills they need to be able to deal with the mental health challenges that they're facing on a day-to-day basis. So there is a place. I've been working extremely hard at carving that niche for mentoring to be part of that mental health space. And we've actually gone through the process of creating a certification for mentors that actually has I don't want to call it a specialization, but it actually has a mental health focus.
Perfect, and very fascinating as well. If I am buying or selling a business, do I need to be concerned about my mental health? And I'm sure you're gonna also give me the why behind that as well.
Most definitely. I would be concerned if you said to me that I'm not concerned about my mental health, whether you're buying or selling. And let's just take a look at what does that look like first off. So whether you're buying or selling, you're obviously going to be going through periods, times where your stress level is, increasing, and it's very difficult to figure out how am I going to manage that on top of everything else. I'm having to make all these decisions, around buying and or selling my business. And so it's, if you're not concerned about your mental health, then we have a bigger issue to deal with than if you were concerned. And the reason for that is that what I'm seeing taking place is certainly with a lot of business owners is that they're not focusing on themselves. And so part of the problem with that is that if I don't look within myself and I try to make sure that I as an individual is whole, then what ends up happening is that ends up being transferred to my employees, who then have, start to experience, higher levels of stress, higher levels of anxiety. And then that starts to impact my clients because they're not getting truly a full person to be able to deal with their client needs and their client demands. So this is where I think that business, whether you're buying or selling, is neither here nor there. But what's important is that you actually start to focus on your self-care, your mental well-being, your mental health. Excuse me. Because if we don't do that, what's going to end up happening, and there's lots of research, lots of literature out there, is that as your stress levels increase, so do your levels of illness. And so I've seen, certainly, and heard of different stories where individuals, had, say, had a disease of some sort. Cancer is a good example, where they were not taking care, they were not whole as an individual. And because of what they were dealing with in the business, it actually acted as an accelerant, um, to the growth of that disease within themselves. So it's really important that we need to, we need to reach out to that mentor. That they're not going to cure us, but what they're going to be able to do for us is to be that person to listen and hear. They're going to also have that resource base of individuals, counselors, psychiatrists, all of that, that they can connect us to, so that we are able to get the professional help that we actually need. Because that's not the place of the mentor. The mentor is to be there to develop that trusted relationship and to act as your guide through all of this that you're going through. They're going to be able to help you minimize some of the stress and anxiety, simply because they know the questions to ask to help us get through some of these challenges that we're going to encounter as a result of buying or selling a business. So it's really important for us to take the time to reach out to find that mentor that's right for us, and that is willing to journey with us, certainly on the mental health side of buying and selling a business. When it comes to, and you're absolutely correct in that we sometimes make a decision that we're going to ask the owner of the business to kind of hang around and provide advice and guidance. What can also work is it can be a combination of the seller of the business helping transition the new owner into the business. But what can also happen is that you could also have the external mentor to also help facilitate that process. Now, a lot of people say, well, what if I don't, I'm a prospective mentor, but I don't have industry specific experience. I've worked in over 30 different organizations, 30 different sectors of business, and I've never had industry specific experience in large majority of those. And here's what it does for me is it allows me to ask a lot of questions, and a lot of questions about the business, a lot of questions about the buyer, so about who they are as an individual, a lot of different pieces that I explore. And by so doing, I'm in a better position to be able to guide them through the having bought that business and now needing to transition it into a productive organization, I'm in a better position to be able to do that. Um, the asking the current owner, the seller of the business, to kind of be around or to be part of that transition process. There's merit for doing so, but you also have to ask yourself, at some point, is their commitment to the transition process as strong as perhaps say that the mentor would actually be, um, a lot more committed to wanting to help you be successful going through that. I mean, granted, you're still going to get some of that from, the seller of the business, but from what I have seen, I think that you have a greater success rate, when when you have a mentor who's external to the organization. Um, and like I said, I've worked a number of different sectors where I did not have the industry specific experience, and it went really, really well. So the other part of the question is, where would I go? I highly recommend, because mentoring is a segment or a service that can be acquired through succession matching, that you reach out to the team at Succession Matching, and they'll work with you to find that mentor, that the guide that you're looking for. They'll work with you to be able to find that individual that's going to be part of your journey going forward.